Hello and welcome to the penultimate stage here at the OVO Energy Women's Tour 2018. The riders will now make their way from Evesham to Worcester, and today is particularly special as this stage is dedicated to the memory of Sharon Laws, who brightened the early editions of this race. Well, things are getting ever tougher as we move towards that big finale in Wales, but before we go any further, let's take a look back at the action from yesterday. Stage 3 of the OVO Energy Women's Tour took place on the roads between Atherstone and Royal Leamington Spa. Overall race leader Team Sunweb's Corinne Rivera took the first iceberg sprint win, securing 3 bonus seconds, adding another second at the next intermediate. After the 50-kilometre mark, Sophie Duik of Cervelo Bigla and Norwegian national champion Vita Heine chipped away off the front, gaining close to 4 minutes on the bunch behind. Wiggle high fives, Elisa Longo Borghini strengthened her hold on the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey when she led the chasing bunch over the top of the classified ascent of Edge Hill. The escapees were caught on the next climb of Burton Dassett as Longo Borghini and Nuadoma battled it out for the QOM points. A little later, an injection of pace at the head of the race by Boels Dolmans and Canyon Schramm caused a split in the peloton. The final came down to a group of 49 riders heading for a bunch sprint.
Bronzini trying to come through, but it looks like Sarah Roy might have enough. Yes, she does. Another victory for Mitchelton Scott.
So after 3 stages, the general classification looks like this, with Rivera retaining the OVO Energy Green leaders jersey. Marianne Vos leapfrogs her teammate Danny Rowe into second place. It's always said that a GC contender here really has to be able to do it all, and one rider looking particularly aggressive in that battle for green is our current Skoda Queen of the Mountain jersey wearer, Elisa Longo Borghini, who joins me now. Talk me through the tactics of the team in positioning you for the climbs in this jersey.
Yeah, so the girls 3 or 4 kilometers before the QOM starts tries to bring me to the front, and then it's my job to get myself up to the climb and to sprint for it.
And in that GC at the moment, you're at 27 seconds. What's the objective on those final 2 days?
We will see, because these days we've been watching to some attacks, but then they never succeeded because the climbs were so far from the final, and in the end a restricted bunch of riders came to sprint. Hopefully one of these 2 last days we can have a main split and maybe gain a bit of time, but we will know soon.
And we'll talk about that more in just a moment. But one rider I'd like to have a bit of a chat about is Marianne Vos of Wildils, because you've of course ridden in the peloton with her for years. For anyone that's followed the sport more recently, just how dominant has she been from your point of view?
Yeah, when I started my elite career, Marianne was winning mostly every race in every kind of speciality, on the road, on the track, on cyclocross, and for me it's always been an idol and inspiration. Maybe in these past 2 years she focused more on some other races and she picked periods, but for me she's still one of the riders to look at, and she's not dominant only in races, but she's dominant in the peloton. When Marianne talks, everyone listen to her.
Well, let's have a word from Vos now and her teammate Danny Rowe, who's also riding high on the GC here at the OVO Energy Women's Tour.
Danny Rowe now really digging deep. Marianne Vos still on the front. Danny Rowe takes that one.
We expected Marianne to be up there, but yeah, I'm really surprised with how I'm going. Obviously it was an aim of mine, but yeah, I've never really been in this position before, especially in a World Tour race. So yeah, we've got it all to play for. We're really excited about the next 2 days.
She's incredible. She's always there. She's wanting to help. She's wanting to give everything, and it's really nice to have her in the team. It's really a big addition to the team.
It's incredible. You actually forget how successful she's been. She's just so down to earth, and it's a pleasure to be in a team with her.
When you look back at your career so far to date, how proud are you?
It's not often that I look back about my whole career. Of course, sometimes people come back to me and say, well, what I've achieved or whatever, and of course then it's a nice list and it's a long list, and yeah, then I think I can be proud. But anyway, it's also a new day, and I also look ahead. So I'm very happy with my cycling career so far, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm still on the bike and having fun.
How do you play it tactically when you've got two of you in contention like this?
It's all about the team. So whether that be for Mariana or me or even someone else, we've still got Sabrina up there on duty as well. So it's really exciting. But yeah, I think we look for the best opportunities within the race. So I guess if that comes down to a kind of bunch sprint finish, that'll be for Mariana. But we all have the opportunity to try and get away, attack ourselves. We have to just see what the best sort of option is to win as a team.
Just finally, what does it mean to have the best British jersey on your shoulders?
Yeah, it's really special, especially, obviously the British race, and OVO have done such an amazing job in the coverage and getting all the communities involved. I've said it time and time again, but having the school kids out on the side of the roads just means so much, and it's so special to try and inspire that generation. And yesterday especially, I had so many shouts for my name, and it's really, really nice. So yeah, I'd love to keep hold of this.
Well, 2 more days to go, and anything can happen, as we've discussed already over the last few days. But Elisa, from your point of view, what's the route like today?
So the route is kind of hard because there are 2 GPMs, and one of those 2 is a Cat 1, but they are very far from the finish. Although I think today is going to be a very aggressive stage because there are 2 teams, Bulls and Canyon, that in my opinion will try to get into a break. So we really need to be attentive and to look for breakaways.
How's the feeling in the team this morning?
We are fine. We are all good and relaxed, and our sprinters are okay. So we are ready for racing.
Focused. And thank you so much for joining us this morning, Elisa. Now let's take a closer look at what exactly is in store on stage 4. After departing from Evesham, stage 4 winds its way through the beautiful countryside of the Cotswolds. The first sprint comes at Broadway and is quickly followed by the Category 1 climb of Snows Hill. There's a less demanding climb at Lynch, and then a second sprint at Inkbarrow before the run into Worcester. The historic market town of Evesham lies on the banks of the River Avon and is surrounded by stunning countryside and rolling hills. This beautiful town and the surrounding area of the Vale of Evesham have rich, fertile soil and are famous for growing asparagus and many other fruit and vegetables. Stage 4 finishes in the historic city of Worcester, located in the heart of England. Sitting on the banks of the River Severn, Worcester has a wealth of parks and green spaces and is ideal for exploring by bike. The city's other waterway is the Worcester and Birmingham Canal, which offers a scenic route through industrial heritage and picturesque countryside. Time now for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments with all the action from Evesham to Worcestershire. And today's
131.5 kilometres awaits the riders today from Evesham to Worcester, but this stage are very much dedicated to Sharon Laws, our friend and colleague who sadly passed away in December last year. And Joe, Sharon, someone that you knew very well and the first Queen of the Mountains in this race in 2014.
Yeah, Sharon was a teammate of mine plenty of times over the years throughout my career on various different road teams and for British cycling. And she was just such a lovely person. She got on with everybody. No one had a bad word to say about her. And she was just a breath of fresh air to have in a team. And it was just so nice having someone with a little bit of a different personality, but of course, a brilliant bike racer as well.
As we roll away today, this was Sharon's favourite training roads, and we send our thoughts out to her mum Joy, her family and all her friends around the world. Away we go from the start. Your jerseys. Corin Rivera in that OVO Energy green leaders jersey. Danny Rose starts in that Adnams blue jersey, the best British rider. And Amy Peters is still keeping that red jersey warm going into this stage, though. Corin Rivera is leading in 3 classifications, so she leads in that red Iceberg Sprints jersey as well. And Lisa Longa Borghini goes into the stage in the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey. 28 points she now has in the standings, almost twice as many points as the second place rider Kasia Niewiadoma. Our first Queen of the Mountains point of the day will be Snows Hill. It comes after 41.3 kilometres. That is a Category 1 climb. And then we will go on to Atch Ledge at 77.4 kilometres. So we'll see how much the climbs can make a difference to the race today. 2 iceberg sprints. The first one coming at 37.5 kilometres into the stage at Broadway. And of course, Inkberry after 92.1 kilometres. So the riders will be pleased that the intermediate sprints not quite as early as we've had on some of the opening stages. Some of our withdrawals, and Sophie Doik has not started this morning. Manon Lloyd as well. Hannah Payton, she didn't finish the stage yesterday, and also Hayley Simmons of WNT. 96 riders taking to the start this morning, and a 7-kilometre rollout towards the start. And always a good point, Joe, here to just catch up with everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So by day 4 of a stage race, probably a little bit more relaxed. Day 1's always quite nervous. At this point, you're starting to get a bit of a settle into your pace, you know, seeing where you're at, seeing where your team's at. So probably a little bit of a more relaxed start today. But of course, we have got the biggest climb, the first category climb coming up.
Kilometre 0, and straight from the off you could see there the attacks coming thick and fast over the opening 3 stages. No one has quite managed to get away early on in the stage. This looks like Ivy Gassert from Team WNT that's attacking, just trying to take a small group away, and a big crash on the roundabout, and the riders just directing each other around, the riders that have gone down.
Wow, that was very near the front of a peloton for a crash to happen. Normally you see those sort of crashes a bit further back, but that was right at the front, so a lot of riders held up there, but hopefully they'll all get back up quickly and back to racing.
So rolling out here, the peloton through the Cotswolds, and just having a look around here. Lotte Lepisto in the centre of the bunch, and the Wiggle High 5 team just moving through towards the front. Floorty Mackay on the left. And this looks like the figure of Lottie Becker here, the German champion, stripes just around the cuffs of her jersey. Always an easy rider to pick out. She's got a very unique style, has Lottie Becker.
She's a very experienced rider, Charlotte Becker, and we saw her teammate from High Tech Products out on a very long breakaway yesterday. So obviously this team have got an agenda to get a rider away every day, get their name out there, and that's exactly what she's done. And at the moment, the peloton seem to be quite happy about that, for her to go away on her own.
Lottie Becker still in the lead, just ploughing on her own. The race was neutralised for 10 minutes, just for the emergency services to tend to the riders that crashed early on, and the race was then restarted in the positions where it was stopped. So Lottie Becker still pressing on here. She's heading towards the first iceberg sprint of the day, and you can see we're just approaching the 1 kilometre to go point. And again, as we've had throughout this race, we had Micah Bogard away on her own, just one solo leader. 3 minutes and 1 second is her advantage. She's building a good lead here.
She has built a very good lead. So come into this sprint, she's going to pick up the maximum points and the maximum time bonus. But behind the peloton, they're going to get themselves organised. We could just see the team of Danny Rowe lining themselves up at the front to get a lead out going. So that might mean her time gap comes down a little bit here as all the teams get organised for a lead out for this sprint behind.
Lottie Becker going into today's stage 52nd overall, 5 minutes and 2 down in the general classification. So she's a good rider to let go clear here. She's got 3 minutes, but she's no real immediate danger in the general classification. But she rides through the first sprint point of the day here in Broadway and picks up an all-important 3-second bonus.
With her being a bit further down the GC, on day 1 we saw no one was really allowed to get any gap whatsoever. I think the peloton was quite nervous about someone getting away and staying away and taking the whole race. But now the GC sorted itself out a little bit. Riders that are a little bit further down will get that sort of breathing space that she's getting here to get a good gap. I think she perhaps like another couple of riders with her, but for the moment, nice solo breakaway and some nice TV time for High Tech Products.
They're lining up for the sprint team, Sunweb, in those white and black jerseys. Corin Rivera right on the wheel of her teammates. Hannah Barnes through the centre. Wow Deals in the green on the left. So Lottie Becker getting on with the breakaway here. And as happens, riders start the day with arm warmers and jackets, and now she's just starting to get rid of those as Ellen Van Dijk now lines it up for the intermediate sprint. Corin Rivera right on the wheel of her teammate. So you do heat up when you're out there on your own in the breakaway group. So just puts the arm always in the pocket. But Corin Rivera just glances at her teammate Ellen van Dijk as she goes past, and it's the BTC Ljubljana rider Eugenia Bujak that crosses the line there in 3rd place. And importantly, another 2 seconds for Corin Rivera in the general classification, and she really is building a decent advantage now in the OVO Energy green jersey. Lottie Becker now settled into her ride. Behind you can just see confirmation of sprint 1. So Lottie Becker takes that from Corin Rivera with Eugenia Bujak there in 3rd place. And Bujak, who sits 8th overall, for me, Joe, I think she's a rider that we really want to watch out for in the days to come.
Yeah, definitely. It's not someone we've talked about. You know, we talk about the big teams like Sunweb, Boels Dolmans. We don't talk about some of the other teams so much. So I think Eugenia Bujak, very valuable second there. You know, we've only got one more day to go after today. There's not many more time bonuses available, so every little second just does count.
So Lottie Becker goes through the start of the Queen of the Mountains point, 1.3 kilometres in length, an average gradient of 7.9%. When you're out there in a solo break like Lottie is right now, how do you handle it as a rider? Most riders have a power meter on the bike. How would you have done it?
Yeah, so because she has got a computer on her stem there, so everyone is different. So you can look when you're riding at the sort of power you're averaging, the sort of heart rate you're holding, or the sort of speed that you're holding. So some girls will ride to average power, and that will be their way of judging their efforts. Heart rate's obviously always a useful one, but during a stage race, your heart rate will be going lower each day in general as you build up fatigue. For me, I used to often just look at my average speed and how fast I was going, because my theory was that the winner of the bike race isn't the person with the highest heart rate, it's the person that's gone the fastest. So my method was often just looking at what speed I'm doing, trying to hold that speed, especially on a climb, thinking, right, the bunch are going to be going faster than me here. I have been working hard out all this time on my own, but if I can hold this speed to the top, that's going to really help me. So for any sort of data that you can look at, having a number to chase is really helpful. But she seems to be here just sort of riding her own pace, looking where she's going, not many glances down at her computer at the moment.
The other skill, though, as well, is for the riders on the front that control the advantage, because when you're in the bunch, you want a breakaway to go clear, especially for teams like Sunweb or Wow Deals that might want to bring it down to a sprint. But it takes a lot of skill to just keep that steady pace, to allow that breakaway a certain advantage and then just hold it there.
Yeah, and it's a real skill to then know when to start bringing it back and how hard to go to bring it back at the right time. So that's always quite grim in the peloton when you see the gap going up and up and up. You think this is going to get very hard at some point as they start bringing this back.
Wow Deals now going on the attack. This looks like Paulina Royacres that's going here in the green. Kasia Nuvedoma right with her. The rider that's sitting in 2nd in the Queen of the Mountains, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, right on the wheel of her teammate. And here comes Elisa Longoborghini just closing down the gap. And they've pulled out the Vittoria neutral service car, so it looks like that they are coming back slightly to Lottie Becker on this climb.
Yeah, they will be coming back because they're racing for these points. She's been out there on her own all this time. These girls have been able to follow the wheels and been able to save a bit of energy. She's had a long solo break already, so it is a tough day out for her. So I would expect the time gap to be tumbling down. And if I were her team manager, I'd be saying to her, don't worry about the gap, just ride the climb at your own pace and just get yourself to the top.
And we've just seen Marianne Vos start to attack out of the group. So you see the Polish flags on the side here. They're waving them for Kasia Nuvedoma behind. And we've seen her really going on the attack over the last couple of days to try and get clear. She won this race really on day 1 last year. But that was really a career-defining attack, wasn't it? Once you've done that once, it's very rare that a race will let you do it again.
Oh, exactly, and especially doing it in such a high-profile race like this. Everyone talked about it, day 1 of a 5-day stage race, going on a solo attack like that. The bunch are not going to let her get that sort of gap ever again. But it's fantastic she's got that win on her Palmares now, but that is perhaps a tactic she won't be able to use many more times.
So keeping the tempo nice and high on the front, Lottie Becker of the High Tech Products team now sees the summit just ahead of her again. Good crowds out here on Snows Hill. She'll take maximum points, but for her, it's all about trying to keep this advantage and try and go all the way to the finish. Elisa Longoborghini there in that black jersey, the Skoda Queen of the Mountains leader, and again, Kasia Nuvedoma just grits her teeth here. She keeps the tempo nice and high. Longoborghini, she knows how to measure her effort on these climbs. She doesn't want to go too early You see all the soigneurs now on the right, just at the top of the climb. So they've gone through the Queen of the Mountains point there, and then it keeps climbing. But behind Elisa Longoborghini, now out of the group, just opens up a bit of distance between her and the next rider. She just wants to make sure that she takes as many points as she can. So she takes second over the summit. And 54 seconds now is the time gap, and it's Ellen van Dijk that's setting the tempo on the front for Team Sunweb. But again, Corin Rivera, the green jersey, very much to the front on this climb.
Ellen van Dijk was looking so in control there. Once Elisa Longoborghini had gone to try and get the points she could get, she just sat on the front, wound it up and controlled that bunch over the line of that climb. But we have still, like you say, got to climb a little bit more before they actually get the descent here.
So there's confirmation of the results. Down to 10th place on the Category 1 climb. And onto some narrow roads, and Lottie Becker still holding a good advantage here. There's your Queen of the Mountain standings. So Elisa Longoborghini pushes her advantage out to 37 points. Kasia Niewiadoma is still fighting hard in third place with 22 points. On the front of the bunch though, and it's the Finnish national champion of Lotta Lepisto now that comes through to the front, and Wow Deal's very vigilant right behind her.
Yeah, this could be a good time for some attacks as well. Now, having had that climb, the climbers have been able to contest what they wanted to. And here we go, an attack's coming now from Sevilla Bigler.
And it looks like Cecily Uttrup Ludwig now that's going clear, the rider that took the Best Young Riders jersey in the Women's World Tour last season. And she's a dangerous rider to try and go clear. 23rd overall, just 46 seconds down on that OVO Energy green jersey of Corin Rivera. And it's Audrey Cordon-Rago of Wiggle High Five now that's coming across the gap. Good chasing group here.
This is a really good group here, and it also takes the pressure off the other Wiggle High Five riders and the other Sevilla Bigler riders. They can now sit in the group with these two riders away. The pressure is already on Sunweb to control this bunch and chase these riders down.
The big over the top of the Category 1 climb, Lottie Becker still solo leader. The two chasers though, Cecily Uttrup Ludwig of Sevilla Bigler and Audrey Cordon-Rago of Wiggle High Five, closing the gap up to our lone leader. And for Becker, she'll be quite pleased. Two very, very strong riders getting across.
I shall definitely be pleased. Not only are they both strong riders and they'll be a really good help for the three of them to work together, but they also both come from big teams, which means two more teams that won't be chasing this breakdown. And you know, this could stay away. This is a really promising group here. If they can work well together, I really could believe in this.
This is a really clever move by Ludwig though here. As we said, going into the stage, 46 seconds down on the general classification. So she's the danger rider. So for Sunweb, there was going to be alarm bells ringing, and you just see her giving a little hand signal there. And back in the peloton, you can see Floorty Mackay on the front. So Sunweb, it's all up to them now to try and defend this.
It is all up to them. I think if there were three riders that weren't anywhere on GC, they'd be given a little bit more breathing space. But with someone that is so close, you know, within a minute of the lead, they have got to keep this under control, and that's going to be the toughest thing for this breakaway, to be able to stay away because she is so well placed on GC. They seem to be getting a little bit of help from Mickleton Scott there, but in general it will be Team Sunweb and the responsibility on their shoulders for this.
On to the second categorised climb of the day. It's a Category 3 climb, 1.8 kilometres, just 2.4%. The gap from our leaders to the peloton, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And Joe, it's worth pointing out, viewers might be wondering, the pink ribbons that all of the riders are wearing. Our points jersey is sponsored by Breast Cancer Care, and there's quite a special meaning to these.
Yeah, so every rider's been given a personalised pink ribbon with a message on from a woman suffering from breast cancer, and it's a really nice special thing about this race, and I think it's something that all the riders have really got on board with, and it gives a different sort of perspective and meaning to the whole thing, and I think it sort of, you know, helps put a lot of things into perspective, and it gives you sort of something to race for, something to motivate you as well.
Our leaders, that you can see the climb not too long or too steep, this climb, and Cecily Uttrup Ludwig constantly just chatting to the two riders in the breakaway group. And the national time trial champion of Denmark, she's in the break with the French national time trial champion in Audrey Cordon-Rago. And you just see the Wow Deals rider just coming up with the bottles in the jersey just to distribute them to the teammates.
We can see them riding across the road like that here. If there is crosswinds, it's far better to sit to the side of the wheel rather than directly behind. So they'll be thinking about where the wind is and how the wind's changing, and that will be a big thing that's working against them. Obviously, there's far more girls in the bunch here that can work together. But for the three that are out front, they'll need to work well in the wind and be sensible to try and save their energy by forming little echelons.
In terms of this race as it goes, you've ridden this race previously, and there's a lot of talk about it extending to more days in the future. What do you think that they could add into those additional days that might really shake this up in the future?
Yeah, I would love to see a mounted top finish or hill top finish of some kind. I know it's obviously really good to have finishes in towns, and that obviously gets the crowds out, but I think in terms of TV viewing, I do quite enjoy a mounted top finish. I also would enjoy a time trial as well, and that's a good one for spectators. You know, rather than just a bunch come past, you get riders at 1 or 2 minute intervals, so there's a lot more to see in that sense. And again, that might change the dynamics of the race. It might attract different riders here with different sort of talents and skill sets. So I'd like to see something like that. Maybe a team time trial, actually. I quite enjoy team time trials as well. I'm open to most things in that sense.
Do you think if they throw a time trial then, though, that you might be tempted to make a comeback?
Oh, I'm far too unfit for that. That's not going to happen.
Heading towards the summit, Audrey Cordon-Ragot, the last year's Queen of the Mountains. It's her teammate Elisa Longoborghini that's leading in this competition. None of the riders in the breakaway are any threat to Longoborghini's jersey, but in terms of defending up in the lead, Audrey Cordon-Ragot, she just wants to make sure that she'll try and get maximum points over the summit.
Yeah, so she can sweep up the points here, therefore taking it off anyone else. But like you say, Alyssa Longoborghini is in such a good lead in that competition with just one more day of racing to come. She is looking really good, so it's not too much of a stress for the team. But for Wiggle High Five, this is their big target. I mean, they've lost Katie Archibald early on in this race, unfortunately. But if they can sweep up this Queen of the Mountains competition, that would be a good result for them overall in this race.
So Audrey Cordon-Ragot just out of the saddle, sprints over the summit there to take maximum points over the Atchledge climb. And then we will now start the descent and head in towards Worcester. Behind, you can see the High-Tech Products team just coming through. They're the teammates of Lottie Becker here, the former German national champion who's in that breakaway. And for the High-Tech Products team, they've had a tough season, haven't they? They lost a big sponsor early on in the year. It left them with about a €50,000 gap in their budget. They've been trying to crowdfund and look for other sponsors, but they're one of the most historic teams in women's world cycling. They've been around since about 2009.
Yeah, they are, and that's why a race like this is so valuable to a team like this, because it has got the TV coverage, it is exposure, it is TV time for sponsors. So all the teams are taking this race seriously, but particularly High-Tech, we've seen them very active, going on the attack, having a rider in the breakaway and getting that TV time.
So we have 1 point left at the top of the climb, and for the first time in this race since we started, not seeing the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey of Elisa Longoborghini coming through to the front. We've still got the Team Sunweb on the front, just keeping the tempo. There's Georgia Williams in the white jersey in the centre for Mitchelton Scott, the New Zealand national champion. Good to see Abby May Parkinson there as well from the Trek Drops team. Those sort of seafoam coloured helmets and Trek bikes, easy to pick out. We saw Abby May up there yesterday. She's looking good in this race.
She is looking good. She's the second highest placed British rider, I believe, on GC. Obviously, Danny Rowe is in the best British riders jersey, but Abby May, still a young rider and still doing very well, which is also really good news for the Trek Drops, who have unfortunately had a few crashes and DNFs.
It does. How does it affect the team on the road and the morale when you're losing your teammates? They've lost about 3 riders so far in this.
Yeah, it's difficult being down to 3 riders, but it also means there's no pressure on you as a team to do anything. You know, there's other teams with 6 girls there. They're the ones that are there to dictate the bike race. You can follow, you can hide, you haven't got pressure on you to initiate attacks and initiate chases, so it can actually open up opportunities in a sense.
So there you have it. There's confirmation. It was Leah Kirschman that just led the peloton across the summit. Elisa Longoborghini still in a very commanding lead in the Queen of the Mountain standings, ahead of Kasia Niewiadoma.
There was no need for Alyssa Long and Borghini to contest those points. She's got such a good lead now. She really needs to start thinking, she knows she's the best climber in the race. Can she use that to her advantage tomorrow to try and win the bike race?
As they headed towards the second and final iceberg sprint of the day with 39.4 kilometres to go in Inkborough, it was Cicely Uttrup-Ludwig of Cervelo Bigla that led the breakaway across the line. The breakaway group still had over 2 minutes, and the Danish rider was still the virtual leader on the road. The big question is, can the breakaway group stay clear all the way to the finish in Worcester? Our 3 leaders still clear as we head down towards Worcester at the end of stage 4. Cicely Uttrup-Ludwig of Cervelo Bigla, Charlotte Becker and Audrey Cordon-Ragot. 10 kilometres to go. Unfortunately, these are the abandonments from the crash just after kilometre 0 this afternoon. And on the front, it's Mitchelton Scott doing the big work. For Mitchelton Scott, though, coming in towards the finish, they've got a lot of work to do to bring this breakaway back. But Sarah Roy, winner yesterday, Jolien de Hoora, who do you think they'd be working for today?
Well, they've had a brilliant race so far. I think today it's a bigger bunch, so I'm thinking maybe Jolene D'Or must be feeling good today. It was such a surprise, her winning on the first day. I think she must have had confidence from that, and although she said that was the stage she was targeting, it seems to be all the sprinters have got over those hills today, and it is all together.
30 seconds though, inside 10 kilometres goes. A bit of chat going on at the front there between Corin Rivera and Florty Mackay. Joe, 30 seconds, do you think they can hang on?
They could make this. They need to keep working hard together, not attacking each other just yet. It is possible though. This could be really, really tight to catch these girls, and the bunch are going to have to get organised. But here, I don't think they're really working well as they need to be if they're going to stay away. No.
You've got to be absolutely committed 100% here, and as soon as you start to see that, you know that the writing could be on the wall for the breakaway group. Behind though, there's the red jersey of Amy Peters just moving up towards the front here for Bull Dolmans. And it's been a long day out in the lead, and you can see already it's starting to come back. That's a shame for this breakaway.
Yeah, that gap's come down very quickly now. Now they are within sight of the peloton, so I think they're all going to think, well, this is it, this is over and done with now. The peloton are coming at such speed, and I think we've seen a few little counter-attacks coming off the front as well.
Always happens as you get towards the finish. If that breakaway comes back just a little bit earlier than you might expect, you get these flurry of counter-attacks, and they're now just closing this gap up to the breakaway. So the catch is made. Cicely Ludwig, good effort by the Cervelo Bigla rider to go after the green jersey of Corin Rivera, and now the attack's coming thick and fast, and it's WNT on the right of your picture there that are now going on the attack.
Yeah, this is the perfect time to go. The brake's just been caught. There's been a few teams working very, very hard on the front of the bunch. So if there is ever such a slight lull in the pace, now would be the time to try and get a gap if you can. Often the teams will keep at a high pace and no one can do this, but this rider's taken the opportunity, and fair play to her.
Afka Sut of Team WNT, and it's the Swedish national champion Sara Penton that's coming across. I've just noticed as well, Joe, a few spots of rain on the camera lens of the helicopter. We did have some rain forecast, and it's quite a technical run in towards the finish, so they'll be hoping that that rain really doesn't come to much.
Oh, they will. There's another corner about 300 or 400 metres to go before the finish. It's a fairly fast run in though, but then it looking like it's going to be a crosswind up the finish straight. So a little bit technical again with the corner close to the finish, but you'll be looking at probably some really organised lead-out trains. They've already had a few days of racing to get themselves sorted out, so they know what they're doing.
But they've got to catch our 2 leaders and a strong breakaway group. Afka Sut, just 20 years old, is the Dutch rider. She has a successful season. She comes into this after taking the best young riders jersey in the Amunakim Bira stage race recently. She's had a stage victory in the Healthy Aging Tour as well, and with the Swedish national champion jersey on her back. Sara Penton has quite a pedigree surrounding that jersey, isn't there, with the likes of Emma Johansson in the past.
Oh, absolutely. Emma Johansson, Emilia Farlin as well. Some brilliant Swedish riders that have been developing, and Emma Johansson is now retired. But it's great to see that jersey being represented. But the bunch here are just leaving them hanging out to dry a little bit, not letting them get very far. They're not quite organised, not quite full gas at the moment. But I think they would, and I think this pair will get reeled back in. And
for Sara Penton as well. Good to see the colours of Team Virtu off the front. They've got a good sprinter in the bunch behind us. as well in Barbara Guarischi, so the Italian sprinter. As you said, it looks like the FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope team that are coming up towards the front. They had a good finish yesterday as well. They got a couple of good sprinters, in particular Roxane Fournier.
Yeah, the climbs have been a bit earlier today, and with the second categorised climb only being a third category climb, we seem to have got all the big sprinters in this group, so it really is wide open here who could take this victory today.
Mitchelton Scott, though, in those yellow and black jerseys, looking very organised at the front. Those orange jerseys of Bull Dolmans as well, moving up towards the front. They've got Amelie Deirdrickson, the former world road race champion, in there as well. And a few more jerseys coming up towards the front. 5 kilometres to go. This looks like it's setting up nicely now for a bunch sprint.
Be interesting to see what Bowles Dolmans could pull off here. They haven't had a stage win yet this week. They're used to having things all their own way. They are a very, very strong team. So let's see if they can get organised. Amelie de Dixon is their strongest sprinter. We've also seen really good form from Amy Peters as well this week. Sunweb
on the left there with that green OVO Energy Leaders jersey of Corinne Rivera. She has been riding spectacularly well in this race so far this week. And it's quite interesting when you look at a rider like Corinne Rivera, and in particularly the roads that we have here, it really suits someone that is an all-rounder like Corinne Rivera.
Oh, definitely. A lot of the best female riders in the world are very, very good all-rounders. You know, you're expected to race on all sorts of terrain. Even if you see yourself as more of a sprinter or a climber, you find yourself in the pan flat races in Holland, you find yourself in the hilly races in France. You end up doing everything, so you get some really, really world-class all-rounders. And Corinne Rivera, you know, we can't just label her as a sprinter. She has ridden spectacularly well this week on the climbs, but another big day to go tomorrow for her, though.
A whole host of teams now at the front. On the right, you picture it's Georgia Williams, the New Zealand champion, from the front for Mitchelton Scott. We've seen Alay Cipollini trying to bring Chloe Hosking up towards the front as well. Hosking, a great sprinter from Australia, inside 4 kilometres to go now, up towards the line. And as well, Silence Pro Cycling, Georgia Bronzini, second yesterday. I keep seeing the Spanish champion Sheila Gutierrez up towards the front. And Georgia Bronzini, she's wearing the pink breast cancer care jersey as the points leader. It was one of her strongest performances yesterday.
It was very strong, and she's had a fantastic career, been a multiple world champion across road and track. Definitely not a rider you can discount, and it was a very good ride yesterday. She was almost just caught on the wrong side of the wheel coming into the finish, but I think had she perhaps had a clear run, it might have been slightly closer. So we'll see where she can get herself today.
Georgia Williams really has got the pressure on for Mitchelton Scott. They know how to do this absolutely perfectly on the front to lead out the sprint for the finish. Sarah Penton coming up again in that Swedish champions jersey. And you can see the riders, the constant ebb and flow now of this group. Lottie Becker still on the back, 3 kilometres to go.
It'll be very tough for her to hang on to the back now. She has had a long day out front. A lot of time solo, then a bit of time with 2 other riders, but her legs will be feeling it now, but her job is done. She was out there a long time, which was great for her.
That blue jersey of Danny Rowe just moving up towards the front as well. She's got herself onto some good wheels now at the front. It's the world champion in that rainbow jersey. Oh, Danny Rowe has gone down very heavily on the side of the road. She is on her feet, but she landed on the curb.
Oh dear, that looked bad. She got up straight away, but it looked like she came down very heavily there, but that was inside the last 3 kilometres, meaning that she will get the same time as the bunch, assuming she can still finish the race.
As we run down towards the finish, you can see just a covering of rain, so has made these roads a little bit damp now on the run-in towards the finish. And as Joe said, you've got that tight left-hander again into the finishing straight. You've got some sweeping corners on the run-in as well, but it's Mitchelton Scott that now have the strength and supremacy on the front. Amy Peters coming up in that red iceberg jersey, and just catching a glimpse there. You've got a Story Racing jersey up towards the front. Looked like Nia Evans, the style of the Scottish rider, just getting up there. So good move here by Nia Evans to get up with some of the world's top sprinters.
Yeah, Nia Evans was well positioned there. That was really good riding as well from her. We can see Amy Peters looks like she's the lead out girl for Amelie de Dixon here, but it's still looking like Mitchelton Scott for Jolien D'Or are in control of this lead out.
Jolien D'Or, you're looking for that Belgian national champions jersey. You can also see the national champion of Finland, Lotte Lepisto, great sprinter as well. And again, Amelie Deirdrickson's right on the wheel of Amy Peters. That's a great lead out. And again, Nia Evans moves up in the red, white and blue for Story Racing, but still the strength on the front now now for Mitchelton Scott. Can they set this one up for Julien de Hura?
This is quite a technical run-in as well. The roads are looking a little bit damp, which is almost worse. You almost want it to be heavy rain and the roads be fully wet, but the white lines in this sort of conditions can be really treacherous.
So riders chasing back on all the time to the group. And again, you're seeing those Trek Drops jerseys coming up. So Chloe Hosking is still well up there for Ale Cipollini, and you can see everyone from the aerial shot here. Joe just battling for that wheel of Julien de Hura. They know exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, the lead out here from Mitchelton Scott is so strong. The peloton's all strung out and everyone's trying to get their way further up, but it's very, very difficult at this pace.
So they still have the front. Looks like Gracie Elvin is there. Sarah Roy is still up there as well. And again, you can see Lepisto just battling on the left, trying to come back through. Christine Majerus is there on the right. Mariana Vos is well positioned as well. Here comes Corin Rivera. So the green jersey is the race leader now. Makes a move up the outside. She doesn't quite have the teammates there, but on the inside, Nia Evans just dive bombs the inside line there. Great move by her. Now they're opening it up. And it's Amy Peters on the front. Amelie Deirdrickson still with her. Lotte Lepisto moves up. Chloe Hosking is there, and so's Barbara Gorishki. Amy Peters, though, looking strong on the front. Now lining it up. Amelie Deirdrickson now comes off the wheel of her teammate. Can anyone get up there on terms with her? Lotte Lepisto is trying to challenge. On the right, though, you've got Chloe Hosking and Mariana Vos, but it looks like Deirdrickson's going to take it. Yes, she does. And a big roar from today's winner, Amelie Deirdrickson from Bull Dolmans.
That was a fantastic lead out there by Amy Peters for Amelie Deirdrickson. I thought it was Mitchelton Scott had it all their own way, but at this point here she gets her around that corner, one rider in front of her, then that leaves Amelie just the last couple of 100 metres to sprint on her own, and no one's getting anywhere near to her. She's winning this by a nice clear bike length, and she's showing why she is a former world champion. Absolutely brilliant ride there by her.
Amelie Deirdrickson takes the win in Worcester ahead of Lotte Lepisto, Mariana Vos and Chloe Hosking. A great win for Bull Dolmans' Amelie Deirdrickson on stage 4 of the 2018 OVO Energy Women's Tour. Mariana Vos is the new holder of the Breast Cancer Care pink jersey, but her thoughts were with her teammate Danny Rowe.
There was a little move in the bunch. We were on the right side and the two of them went down in the final 3 kilometers. So yeah, that's the only good news, but that they went down, and of course with such a high speed, I think it was about 60k an hour. It's so I haven't seen Danny yet, but I hope she's okay. She went to the finish on the bike. That's okay, but she's hurt.
Danny Rowe was unable to take to the podium to receive the Best British Rider jersey, so Mariana Vos accepted it on her behalf. In the Iceberg Sprints classification, Corin Rivera increased her advantage by a couple of points. Elisa Longa Borghini has a commanding lead in the Skoda Queen of the Mountains competition. And for the 3rd day running, Corin Rivera was in the green jersey as leader of the 2018 OVO Energy Women's Tour.
The girls did really awesome today. I really owe it to them. We controlled the front, let the brake go, and then let the sprinter teams really bring it back. So they did a lot of work today, and I felt really proud of them, and just sitting on the back, cruising, and they were doing all the hard work. But yeah, there's still one more day to go, so still anything can happen.
So confirmation of the GC after stage 4. Corin Rivera's lead is down to 14 seconds over Mariana Vos. Danny Rowe is 3rd at 22 seconds. Amy Peters and Christine Majerus are tied 25 seconds back, and Elisa Longa Borghini is 6th at 29 seconds.
So Corin Rivera keeps the OVO Energy Green Leaders jersey on her shoulders as we head into the final stage in Wales. The riders themselves have said that anything could happen out on the road tomorrow, and we'll be back with the story of the day then. So for now, from me, Marty and Joanna, bye-bye.